what we are doing is very dangerous. And when we say we are Thatha Zonke members and we are going to war, I need to be able to trust those guys to watch my back.
Yeah.
They should be able to trust me to watch their backs.
Welcome to another episode of Dreams Made Possible, where we share Life 101 conversations for a great life. I'm your host, Butaki Hlalele, a life coach on a mission to cultivate personal mastery and self-worth in others. In this podcast, we conversate with personal development specialists, leaders across different walks of life who have left an indelible mark on others, and ordinary folk who have beat the odds to be where they are. Before we dive deep into this conversation, please click on the link below and subscribe so that we can grow a community of dreamers. Let me introduce today's guests to you. I've got three guests who are gentlemen who have decided to take a very, very serious decision with their lives. That is to fight crime in their communities. They are doing this on behalf of other people that probably do not even know them. Welcome to the episode today, Lucky from Thatha Zonke, Lee from Champ Security, as well as Donga from I Operations Intervention. Welcome, gentlemen, to the episode today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gentlemen, who does what you do? I would really like to start here so that you make it easier for us, the types of job that you do. Maybe let's just start at a high level. What is your background? Is there anything that has happened in your life, gentlemen, that has influenced you to decide to take it upon yourself to say, I'm going to fight crime in the communities where I live? And maybe just to put in context, someone might be motivated by being mugged or looking at their neighbor, their wives, their sisters, their brothers being attacked, and they say, I'm going to do something about it. So I just like to find from each one of you, how did it come about for you to say, we are going to do this work? Maybe we can start with you, Donga.
Sure. Nothing personal happened to me. I grew up in Soweto. Things happen.
Yes,
They happened, especially 80s. It was something else. That's my era that I grew up in. But as a citizen, we have to serve.
Yes.
And I was called to serve. Personally, privately, I work for government. Again to serve. I'm from private sector, but I decided to stay where I am. But then when IOPS was started, it was because of the Nomzamo shooting in Soweto. And we are with a group of firearm owners, guys who from all walks of life, but we organized a group of firearm owners. We said, no, let's meet today. This cannot happen in our presence in Soweto while we're here.
Okay.
We need to protect the cars. That's where it came from initially.
All right.
And we started bringing in a whole group. Then we started sifting because we wanted to know, to see who's who.
Yes,
we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses. I mean, our teams is people from all walks of life.
Wow.
You find your lawyers, you find your JMPD officers, EMPD, SAPs, ordinary guys from the street, security, it's everyone.
Okay.
But the mission is one, to make sure that our hood is safe. Initially it was Soweto, but we never put it in Soweto, we left it in Soweto.
Yes.
Our country must be safe, and if no one does it, who else will do it?
Wow.
So we put our lives there in front, because SAPS always does it. For who? For you. You know, so the tools that we have are not for showcasing. They need to do something, but use them in a right way, in a proper structured way. And thus we met the gentleman on my left. Then, the story goes on from there to pick up further.
Okay. Now, great. Before we move to the next guest, maybe can you just remind somebody who's watching who does not know about the Nomzamo issue?
Okay.
What just high level, what happened? Because it seems to be a very important elixir of what brought this up.
So the Nomzamo massacre, it was a shooting that happened at a tavern in Soweto, where a number of people were killed. People just came in with, looks like, we are told, AKs only, high-powered rifles, and they just shot at random. So as we are told, it might be a tough fight, but we're not interested in that. Our main issue as gents that came together was, why is it happening in front of us? And that anger was there to say these things are happening more in Soweto now. Because even when you find there's a feast somewhere, they see 5-6 guys. Now guys come in and they hijack you sitting in your yard. So as we said, let it stop. And that's how we started. But when we started as operations, Thatha Zonke, they've already started.
Okay.
It was in there, and we're looking up to them. We say, oh, okay, we see what these guys are doing. Why can't we do the same thing?
Oh, I see.
If they're protecting the East Rand, why can't we protect and let's start? So we were born, we can see all the babies of Thatha Zonke.
Okay.
And we looked up to them, and that's how we started. And now we formed this formidable force, which I can say that we want no one to come in between to make sure our country eventually is safe, and we're here.
No, thanks for that. We'll get into the operations of how you together work. Maybe let's come to you, Leah. What motivated you to start this duty? I would like to call it a service, a duty.
A calling.
A calling.
Yeah.
Great.
Not a pastor yet, but a calling. Yeah, sorry, I just want to correct you there. It's actually the champ security.
Oh, great. Thanks.
I'm the champ.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so nothing personally happened to me, right? It was more of, I don't want to use the words service delivery, right? I'm from a small country called Eden Park on the East Rand, or some people call it the South, right? I moved out and I moved back again, but you could see that the community, we are suffering. And most of your bigger security companies didn't want to service and still not servicing the Kasis. We going for your suburbs, if I can put it that way, where they think the money is. So we are lacking that little bit of service. And obviously, when you look at your Kasis, not everybody can afford security services. So most of the time, our services are for free. I'm not going to go into detail right now, but as you said, as we go along, we tend to intercept hijacked vehicles, kidnap children, from any aspect when it comes to security. So yeah, I had this vision many years ago, and I was still employed, and I told my employer, let's start a security company, my cousin. I want to run it. And they're like, nah, it's not going to happen. It's happening now.
And then how did it happen? Because you asked somebody to help to say, come on board, let's do this. And they said no. So what did you do for it to happen?
I think, actually, I don't think, I got hard for. Sorry for that word. But, it was a Saturday morning, and I told my wife, I said, I think this is the time. So I said, I'm closing this door. And I walked in, handed everything over, and said, I'm done. And, people said, you're foolish. What are you going to do? How are you going to maintain yourself? But sometimes, and I made mention to it earlier, don't chase money. If you put the money factor first, you know what? You'll never be successful. So I think I took that leap of faith, and I started this thing. It started off small, and I had 1 or 2 companies that said, listen, we'll make use of your security services. And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky, same question to you. How did this thing come about?
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. Well, look, when we established ourselves, the reason behind the whole thing was that there was a high level of crime in our township, in Katros. Hijackings were very, very up here. So the crime didn't actually affect us directly. It has a way of affecting you indirectly. It could be your family member that is hijacked. It could be your family member that is robbed of his or her cell phone on the road. So when we started, actually, our mission was to fight against hijackings.
Okay.
Mainly when Thatha Zonke was established, it was to fight against hijackings. Along the way, we then decided that let's take everything. Hence the name Thatha Zonke.
Okay.
We decided let's tackle all kinds of crimes in Ekurhuleni.
Okay.
So that's how we actually started. We started with the gents to say, guys, there's too much crime happening in our hood. Why are we sitting down? Why are we not doing anything about it? Because of this thing is now affecting us. And we know that these people have taken over our areas. They do as they please, but we are here. So let's come together and see what we can do and protect the township. The reason was to protect our townships and make sure that our people, the community, can walk the streets without worrying about anyone marking them, without worrying about anyone hijacking their cars and stealing from them.
You know, gentlemen, what you and your members are doing is so great. I remember the other day I was in Ghana, and because we go into I personally went into that using my South African mentality, and I was asking guys at the hotel to say, we want to go out, you know, but then I was afraid that I can be marked. And don't get me wrong, any country has got those spots where you cannot just go. But what I liked about it then, they said to us, no, just go. Whether you return at 3 or 4, go out and enjoy this country. And I enjoyed Accra that day, I remember. The same happened when I was in Nigeria. And the fact that you are raising these points to protect us and to give us back our humanity, that's how I see it. I really, really applaud you. So Douglas started by saying when they started the I operations intervention, then also other members came. And probably that's the same for you. And for me, that's a critical question to say. Almost every adventure that starts, there's someone who wants to take an advantage. They see an opportunity to further their own maybe malicious intents. So as the 3 organizations, and anyone can take it, how do you ensure that you bring people with the right mindset, the right intentions into your organizations?
With IOPS, what we did, as I said, first time when we met, I remember I'm the one who in our group sent a message, Jens, there's this, because we're talking offline. So it was invite a friend. We know this group of us, about 30 guys who own firearms, we're in shooting clubs, and so we know each other. So invite same like-minded people into this meeting that night. And that's how it started. But as we are saying, eventually then you see, like he's coming with his stories here, and you're like, but it cleans itself. That's a nice thing about it. Because the thing is it's selfless. You wake up at 2 a.m. and you come back with nothing in your pocket. And you leave your family, you leave everything, you compromise everything. So people get tired along the way. But now, with the time that we've been around, we know exactly who's our operations. People, you usually fall off. You will never sit in this thing if we are there to, maybe I'll get something, forget. As you were saying, don't chase the money. We are not even chasing money. There's no money. This is just to say we need to serve our country, and there's always been a calling to say you need to serve. Be it you cleaning your streets, be it doing whatever, we need to serve. So it was like-minded people that came together, and it was through a friend. So I trust you when you say I brought Ulaki in.
Yes.
You know, then we have our own vetting systems. So that's how we even now that's how we do it.
Wow. Is it the same, or that's how you do it collectively then?
Yeah, more or less. But like mentioned, a person will come in with other motives, and a couple of months they'll just fall off. You understand? And whether it is financial gain, you'll see through them, because they'll come with the mindset is normally, when I'm used to, I don't want to use the word robbing people. You're coming to an organization and say, listen, I'm gonna chow here and I'm gonna grab there. You won't last very long, because security is not for everybody. You understand? Firstly, you're risking your life. You're losing a lot of family time. So yeah, some guys like to spend money. So you want to steal and spend. So unfortunately, in this industry, there's not a lot of spending.
Yes.
So yeah, you normally fall off the bus very, very fast.
Very quickly. Yeah. Okay. So I would assume that, not even assume, this is a task that most, if not all, taxpayers are paying for, a service that taxpayers are paying for, that should be coming from the police. And by no means I would like to take this conversation to criticizing the police, but the point that I want to make is this is also what they should be doing. And I am wondering from that perspective, how do you establish partnership then with the South African police services to render this service? Maybe like if you can take it.
All right, maybe before I respond to that, let me go back to the same question that you asked before, to say that how do we make sure that we are not infiltrated by people with malicious intent? It's very difficult to do with that. You'd ask any big organization, there'll always be infiltration. even in our space in Thatha Zonke, we've had people, who have infiltrated us. But remember, what we are doing is very dangerous. And when we say we are Thatha Zonke members and we are going to war, I need to be able to trust those guys to watch my back.
Yeah.
They should be able to trust me to watch their backs. You understand? So we always try to, to clean our group and check who is committed to this thing, who is always there, who is willing to be sent anywhere at any time. Then you are able to then, in a way, to check if people are committed to it or they came in because of they have other mindsets and alternative motives. However, let's come to the issue of partnering with the police. At first, it was very difficult. We received serious resistance from the police. Well, I remember when we started, some of the members would say it's because of we are taking bread out of their mouths. When you are fighting criminals, because of there's these talks that police are benefiting from criminals. Criminals run away, they seek protection from the cops. But over time, we had to think differently, to say these people, their mission is to protect the community. How do we come in and find a way to work with them without criticizing them and form partnership with them? We were very fortunate when we started. We had a colonel in Tawaza police station who supported Thatha Zonke from the first, when we started. The first time we started, he was there with us. He was on the ground with us. So in a way, he set up an example for many other police stations to say that these guys are not in competition with us. These guys are fighting the same enemy that we are fighting. So because of what he did, we were then able to, to build relations with the regional commissioner, and then the brigadiers, they came along, the colonels joined us, the station commanders came in, and then we started working with them very well. I can say that out of the 6 police stations we have in East Rand, we work well with them. There are no issues right now, even though there's still, those glitches, those minor glitches, but we have established a good working relationship with the police.
Yeah, I guess relationships are built over time, so probably with time it will get to that point. Is it the same for you in Soweto?
I always say Soweto is a big animal. Soweto is something else. If you've grown there, you won't tell me to buy Soweto. And he said, do you know some wood? I said, do you know how big Soweto is?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many police stations we have, but it's far more than 6. It's more than 10, in fact. We're not there yet. We are struggling. Currently work a lot with Intel, sub-Intel, provincial. We do work, now what happens, this is our work, we force the work with subs. We do all the work. We bring you also in a silver platter with the evidence, and we say, here. Because we know they don't have the, what it takes when it comes to numbers. And we cannot have boots everywhere, especially Soweto. There's an issue of cars but the main issue is the issue of buy-in, as you say. There's that resistance. But because we know why we're here. We're here to serve. Eventually they'll come right. It's like a young child who's stubborn. You'll keep on saying, I said. Eventually we get there. So we're getting there. Very tactically, we need subs. We need subs that our brothers and sisters, they're also putting their lives at risk. And we also need to protect them. Because don't ever think when you're playing an operation, they didn't plan what they're doing. They are very clever, these guys. It's engineers, it's IT people. They plan everything to the T. So we also need to have the same expertise within ourselves and assist subs. So we are struggling in Soweto, but we are slowly qualified enough. We're being recognized further up in Soweto now, a province, but it will eventually come down. The only thing is we're here to serve. And it is going to happen come hail or shine. We are going to work with SAPS and anyone else who's within the space that we're with, because it's not our space. But we must make sure people are safe.
I like the spirit that it will happen.
It will happen.
Is it the same in others and surrounding areas? Do you have the good partnership? Are you still building the relationship?
Partnership between my organization and SEPS, it started off rocky, if I can put it that way. But we've got I'll say an excellent relationship now because I've been operating since 2017. So yeah, like I said, it started off rocky like any relationship.
Yeah.
So at this moment in time, due to the fact that the constables or sergeants at SEPS doesn't know the greater community, and we know who the thugs are. So when there's an active case and they can't find the suspects, that's where we normally assist them, because we know where they hide out. You know, so it's a success on their books. We're not worried about it as long as we get the criminal element off the street. So yeah, the relationship is there, and you know they enjoy the benefit because the stats, you know, shows for themselves.
Yes,
So yeah, even though the champ is doing it or Thatha Zonke, you know, we work hand in hand with them. So it's just the other police stations that needs to get on board, but it will do.
But then let me ask, what is, in your experience, the reason for not an immediate acceptance, if I may put it that way, of the role that you play? That maybe, is it maybe the subs not understanding your vision, or is it maybe a question of them thinking that you are now entering their space? There can be a litany of reasons, but I just want to find it from you, because probably somebody in another community might be motivated by what you're doing, and they say, hey, let's do our JF Kennedy movement and see what we can do for our country. And this can maybe, your response might assist them to say, this might be some of the issues that we can anticipate when we want to start that relationship with SAPS and already start to deal with them. What are the main reasons why there was a pushback, if we may call it that way? We want to take it maybe from there.
I wouldn't say it's a pushback as such. It's more of, you know what, I think in any industry, it's who are you? You understand? Here's this, I'll say youngster, now you're coming up, it's like, do you know law? Because we've done it. You understand? Now it's a matter of we are testing each other's knowledge. That's more or less what I think happens. But when you show them, you know, when it comes to your firearms act, you know it. When it comes to various aspects of the casting, that's where you benefit. They don't know it, so you know you size each other up, and it just depends on your approach. Because if you come in and yeah, fortunately my company is the champ, and I walk into a police station and say the champ is here, I might get the wrong, you know, reaction.
Message.
Yeah. So you know, like I said, it's always communication, and I think, you know, my previous jobs has taught me to communicate. So you walk in, you meet the colonel, and say, listen, this is who I am. You understand? And yeah.
Maybe I should come in there as well, because of the experience we had with SEPS and Metro Police as well. Three things. One being that, remember, SEPS mandate is to protect the state and the people, right? If there's any unit that is surfacing somewhere there, obviously they'll have to ask questions to say, who are you? And what is your mandate? Are you going to operate within the framework of the law, or are you going to harass and violate the rights of our citizens? The second one being that this one we experienced it as Thatha Zonke, because of, you would find that we solve a case, we get excited, or maybe we recover a hijacked vehicle. We get excited. The scene is ours. It's us who did this thing.
Yes.
So when they show up, obviously, we need to hand over the scene to the police. But you would find guys getting excited and saying, no, we don't want them. We don't want them near our scene. This is our scene. We have solved it. So I guess that attitude will also, you know, create that rift between the two parties. And the last one it's that you know, elephant in the room of if these guys operate in this space where we benefit, they're going to close tabs for us. They are going to get rid of these activities that are happening there, and we are no longer going to benefit. So therefore, we'll push back so that they don't exist. At some point, we would, you know, they would even go to an extent of advising these criminals to open cases against us, so that, you know, they discredit us as units. So it's those elements that are creating this rift between the police and these units that are being established on daily basis. But the bottom line is, we are fighting the common enemy, and that is crime. And you know that crime is rife in this country. We have the biggest problem of crime in South Africa currently. So therefore, we need to put our efforts together and make sure that we keep our communities safe.
Yeah. So before we get into what your day looks like on a daily basis, I would just like to understand, and you have mentioned it Don a couple of times, the issue of experience. You mentioned it, Lee, when you talk about understanding the Firearms Act or something like that. Just talk to that, to say it's one thing to have members, but it's also one thing to have competent and capable members. So how do you ensure that members understand the law, they understand whatever the operations that they need to understand, whether it's even how to approach a person, all those things, and how do you also continue to capacitate them to make them ready for the future?
Can I pick this up quickly? Firstly, we need to be disciplined. I think it's top of the game. Discipline and be willing to learn and hear from those who've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us have worked somehow in law enforcement, some with some people. So there's things that the do's and don'ts, which is number one. And of course, carrying firearms is not a toy. You must understand the Firearms Controls Act. You must understand the Criminal Procedure Act. And the capacitation now needs money. This is the way it comes in. You find a guy who's very capable from the streets, who wants to work, but he doesn't have what it takes. He doesn't even have a competency certificate to even own a firearm to do this thing properly. And this is where funding comes in, to say once we can form proper partnerships with your subs, and they give us training on a simple thing, how to open a docket. There's one thing we always have an issue with. You'll go and arrest and apprehend and finish. We get to the police station, there's no arresting officer.
Okay.
And the person sitting at the charge office wants an arresting officer. But we caught this guy. We caught this guy, there was no officer there.
Yeah.
Now what happens? You see the guy on the streets the next day. We've seen it in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
So once we close that loop of saying, yes, we are subs, but we've got people who are willing. Citizens who are willing to do this. Let's train them. So for us is learning from other people, learning from people who are in CPFs. There's CPF handbooks. As I'm saying, we've got cops within us, they've got friends, and you read.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who are willing to teach us something, to say, guys, man, there's this new thing. You can do this, you cannot do this. On how to treat a client. This is customer service.
Correct, yes.
We must be big on customer service. But the biggest one, I think, in capacitation of the whole thing, you need to be a brother's keeper after discipline. You need to be a brother. Without me, there's no Thatha Zonke and vice versa. Because if I'm going to walk into that house, I must make sure the guy with the rifle behind me, if a rifle is coming in front of me, will take that head out. But it's about trust. Once the thing is not there, you are there. So it's continuous training, continuous talks, brotherhood building, and you meet guys who've been there. I must learn from Lee. He's been there since 2017.
Yes.
We were born yesterday, literally, as I can say yesterday. Why can't I learn from all these guys? In fact, a short story. When we started, when we formed, I said to my guys, why must we reinvent a wheel while we know Thatha Zonke is there? And we know some of the members of Thatha Zonke. We made a meeting with Thatha Zonke. We came and presented ourselves. This is IOX, we've got nothing. We didn't even have uniform then. We've got nothing. All we've got is tools of the trade. How do we link with you? How do we work with you? And how do we learn from you? And guess what? Today we've got a radio link. We've got radios that Thatha Zonke and us can be connected to OCC. There's a chain now. But it's the will to say we don't know. Let us learn. And once you want to learn, nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
So true. So then that brings another question again before I go into your daily work is any organization when it grows, the complexities also grow, Are you ready? Because personally I have seen your work on social media and probably there's someone who says, hey, I also want to join, and then it grows and it grows. Are you ready to handle the bigger organization that all three of you are going to become into the future. And actually, I'm talking it into the future that you grow and be able to protect people. But are you putting systems in place to ensure that as the growth happens, you also are able to have human resource systems, IT systems, and all other systems that are necessary to be able to run bigger organization in this regard?
Yeah, obviously, when you begin to formalize, you will have to set up all those departments. You will have to prepare yourself for growth. You cannot want to grow, but you have not created room for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, Thatha Zonke is beginning to formalize. Remember, we started as an informal unit. We're just fighting crime, civilians trying to protect their township. But as we went on, we realized that we can do business out of this. There's a big business opportunity for us, to enter into that space and make sure when we formalize, we are able to then have all these departments that are handling different issues within the security company. Thatha Zonke has two pillars. We have an NPO and we have a security company. So now how we run the NPO feeds the security company. So whatever jobs we get in here, it's okay. We get those contracts, we run. But when we're running the security company, we must have people with expertise, of course, that will be running the security company. We must have all these people who are qualified to run all these departments. But because we're still young, we're not that old. This man is older than all of us. He's older than all of us. We were established in June last year, and obviously there's a lot of things that we need to do, and everything will fall into place as we move on. Yes, to answer that, we are working on making sure that everything is taken care of. When we grow, we have relevant departments to be able to take care of everything else. What is important right now is human resource department, which is very difficult to put together because of Thatha Zonke. Every member of Thatha Zonke is a shareholder, and it becomes difficult to run these things. And we always have to have meetings so that we sort these things out until everything is smooth and running without any issues. Yeah.
Anyone of you wants to add?
Strangely, you've asked that question because we had a discussion on our way here, and formalizing structures, but I think he's covered everything.
Okay.
So yeah, the planning is there, and once you start talking structures, it shows that we're growing bigger at a rapid rate. So yeah, we are busy, formalizing all of that there. So when let's say a bigger company or larger company comes in, they'll see that the departments are there. You can't just walk in and say I want to speak to a person.
Yes.
There'll be a HR. There'll be a PR person. Everything will be sorted.
Yeah.
You understand? I think the time is now for us to show people who we are.
Yeah.
And we are not playing, especially with crime.
Yeah. But I wish and pray that the growth should not move you away from the bigger goal, which is to fight the crime in this country. And just by you standing up, that's a show of leadership. And I believe that will continue even when you grow bigger in this duty to serve. So on this platform, we've got the section that we call Dialogue, a day in the life of. Now, an ordinary person, when they go to work, probably their dialogue looks like wake up at 5, switch off that alarm twice, and then ultimately wake up, get into traffic, they get into the office, they greet the employees, they get into first meeting, second, third, they set up their time to consolidate what they did in the day, and then they knock off. I wonder, what is the day in the life of a Thatha Zonke person, a child security person, and operations interventions person? Let's start with you, Don.
I'll give you one scenario. That will be the day in our lives. Saturday morning, Operation Ukaimulao, 5 a.m. We get to Maponya Mall.
Is that not a government?
Yes, yes, working with SAPS and other agencies. No one comes up. So operation is not on. We say next we are up, we need to do something. Call guys from Intel, we start working. When the call comes in, now we're going home. Remember, we've been out here since 5 a.m.
Yes.
We're going home, the call comes in. from one company, Guerrilla Tactical in the south. Guys, we need your backup and assistance. Cell phone tower batteries, that have been stolen. There's a lead. Guess what time we stood down? From 0 suspects to 10 suspects, all positive with literally with those cell phone tower batteries. I think at about 6 p.m. So there's no planning here. Your radio at 2 a.m. you hear back up, 2 a.m. That person can't even say, where are you? Give me your 14. That person can't even say. But once you hear that, so that's our life. Okay, from here I might not get to go home. A call might come in and you are needed there. Especially if you are I always say if you're in a leadership position, you need to be there. You know, you don't lead from the back. You need to be there. So daily life of protection. That's why we're laughing. It's something else. With these shared decay, you must go and get it dirty now. Things can change now. And go jump walls, and it needs to happen. You must be ready.
What day?
Yeah.
Or what night?
Exactly.
Because I think we operate, without reference to any company, we operate 24/7.
Yes.
That's just the thing. I think my support structure is my wife, because my phone is right next to me and it's 24 hours it's busy. Because you're on various WhatsApp groups. So if a Thatha Zonke needs assistance and your phone is off, you know what? It feels like you are what's the word? I'm not there for you, if I can put it that way. You understand? So tomorrow if I make the call and I need assistance and they don't pitch up, you understand? Then you must say, okay, it happened. But there's no such thing as a set day. There's no 9 to 5. There's times, I try to go to gym. I'll get ready, gear up, everything. I'm always ready. Like, you can go to my car now, I'm ready. So you'll get to gym and then you get a call. You're like,
and the session has got to stop.
And then you go. That's the name of the game. You signed up for it. You understand? I think when I get to my retirement age one day, I think we'll be 90 or so, then I'll back down. But there's no such thing as a set day. It can change any given time. What your cash in transit guys, they plan. We plan to say how to stop them, but unfortunately you'll hear West Rand, it's hot. A few minutes later you'll hear East Rand is hot. Then you'll hear in the south is hot. So you need to be ready. So it's a bit difficult to say, I'm planning my day from 9 o'clock, I wake up 9, gym, meetings, office. No, doesn't happen. I think I'm not at that level yet where I can sit in the office and just look at WhatsApps. I like the action.
Well, I'd like to classify what you are saying as a routine.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't enjoy the privilege of a routine. Crime is an active activity, for lack of a better word. It's always happening. So we are always out running. Sometimes, you get home, you're tired. You get home around 3 o'clock in the morning, you're exhausted. The moment you try to take off your bulletproof, you put it there, the radio is on. Guys, back up. And you're thinking, should I sleep? And if I sleep, what he was saying, my members might be ambushed. And they need the backup. They need me to go there and back them up so that I know that when we wake up in the morning, all of us are safe. So we don't have a routine anytime. Like he's saying right now, probably there's a need for us to be on the street and go chase someone who's doing something wrong in the community. Somebody's car is being hijacked, So we don't enjoy that privilege. It's always, busy schedule all the way.
And if I can just add on that, we are not Batman or Superman or any superhero. We do get tired. But, when I get the call, I say my member needs me. I'll push it extra. One day the community will thank us for what we are doing. So when you get a call, it's a community member saying, listen, my child is acting, is breaking the windows and stuff at home, and you say, ma'am, I'm really tired. They must understand where it comes from. Because we want to act to all cases, but sometimes, personally, I know that you get a time where you just shut off. You're like, my batteries are drained now. I'm on 1%. So
No, very understandable because the body itself, it's a mechanism and it will respond and it will shut itself down. So we just hope that things will evolve to a point where resources are there and things go down so that you can always be there for the community that needs your service. So when I look at the types of crime that happens in our country, it's so sad. I saw but unfortunately I cannot quote a source, but I saw where we were listed as number 3, one of the top 3 countries as far as crime is concerned. And the sad part that we all know is that our crime is so, even when I say our, I don't want to own it. The crime in South Africa is so violent. Maybe talk to us about one particular incident where you are surprised that you are seated here, if you've got that type of experience, where you did not believe that you can come out of that situation. Did something like that happen in your day duties?
It always happens.
Okay.
Once that radio goes on, you don't know if you want to come back or back. Firstly. Secondly, you are going to fetch somebody who's got a firearm. And they shoot. These guys are merciless. And they shoot. And after the whole operation, you really stopped that car and found 5 firearms inside. And that guy didn't retire. Or he tried, but we were just too quick. But I think it's by the mercy of God and the calling. And as I said, once the calling is there, they always say many are called, but a few are chosen. That thing happens all the time. You must just know once you're out there. And you must remember now, people, now they know you. Now they recognize your power that you've got, your firepower, your backup, and. Once they find a way of dealing with you alone, then you're in trouble. That is why this brotherhood, it must be there. You must never go and sit alone in a coffee shop where everyone has got a view of you. Because one was, I know that guy from Thatha Zonke, he once took 5 kgs of drugs from me. So it's those days, to me, it's every day. It's every time, honestly. When you leave, girls or boys in the house or wifey, Thatha Zonke is calling, or IOPS is calling. You jump. It's a coin. They need to understand. And we're because we've got families that understand, they must understand, unfortunately. They understand that we have to jump.
Wow. So like you mentioned an example, and in the same breath of the question that I asked, you mentioned an example where you have this person and the police come. It reminded me of the movies where FBI comes and say, "Hey, LPD, it's not your space; it's our space." For this to become real, just give us one story of the case that you apprehended, that you dealt with.
Oh,
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Maybe let me add on what he was saying. We'll come to that. For us, the hostels. The hostels are known to be very notorious and dangerous. Those guys in there are very, very dangerous, and they're armed, heavily armed. So for us, when we plan a hostel operation, you always have these goosebumps, thinking that we're going to go into a lion's den, and we don't know what will happen. That is a very dangerous space to enter into. However, we have a lot of cases where we have apprehended people with firearms. The recent one was of a guy in a hostel who had shot someone and killed that person. And then we had to organize 2 operations. First one was to find him and the firearm. When we got there, we found him, but we couldn't find the firearm. But then we set up an operation for the next morning to go get the firearm. So imagine going into a hostel to go look for someone who has a firearm. Obviously, he has his friends and his brothers, his crew that might take you out. It's very, what we do is very dangerous. It's not easy to actually do what we do. When the police always complain about what they do and it being dangerous, I now understand because I'm in that space and I understand what is going on. So it's different situations. There's situations where we know that somebody has a firearm and maybe we can handle it. You understand? But having to go into the hostels, where there's a lot of illegal firearms and AK-47s, you don't know who will fire from which direction. So you always have to develop these nerves of steel to say, when we go in there, all of us must be disciplined. We go in, we take our person, we are out. Do you understand? So, but over time, we have built some sort of relationships with the Ndunas, so that we are able to access the host. When we get into the hostel, they know that Thatha Zonke is there. Then they can operate. Then there's calm because of these people who live in the hostels do actually listen to the Ndunas. They're very, very disciplined when it comes to that. But it's a very dangerous space. Every other space is dangerous. Zonke is this way. Recently, the MEC was talking about Zonke. It's very dangerous, that place. The police were not entering that space. Thatha Zonke entered into that space, and people who live there will tell you that we live in hell here. We live in hell. There's criminals everywhere in that place. So I would say every space is dangerous. You don't underestimate any person when it comes to crime.
Okay. And just to add on, we had a very funny one now this week, Tuesday or Wednesday. Six suspects, firearm also there, load shedding 4 hours. Right? We need to operate in that space. The community is there. We apprehend this, the community is there. They want to hit these people. You need to get them out of this space. No one is coming to your rescue. Now I'm talking SAPS. Do we put these people in our cars and drive them to a police station? What if the person dies in my car?
Yeah.
There's all those scenarios. Now we're finding that load shedding is one of our biggest enemies now. Because you get a call to say, guys, it's hot. And then you hear, but it's load shedding. And now you ask yourself, how am I going to operate? Because if I come to your area, in my house, you'll never infiltrate my house and I'm there. I'll deal with you before you get to the house, to the door. So same thing with these guys. They plan. That is why cable theft is now in load shedding time. That same day, 2-3 hours later, we heard that they shot a security officer who was protecting infrastructure. Guess where? Behind Dube was there. We were down the road. We heard those gunshots. But we couldn't go up there because we think they play. They always play with firearms. So it's always, everywhere you go, you treat it. It's like a firearm. You treat it as if there's always one in the chamber.
Yeah. But then the other thing, and I know you were making an example, you mentioned Dube as well, a hostel. This is just one example, because I don't want the viewer at home to think that maybe the problem is only with hostels. It's all over. But the example had to be made in that particular regard. So what I want to, and please Lee, answer this question for us. What systems are you putting in place to collaborate with communities? Because most of the time you will hear police say, which is a noble call, to say we cannot do this alone. We need to collaborate with communities. So what is it that you do to ensure that you collaborate with communities? How do you get your tips, if I may put it that way? To say, not tips per se, but calls to say, hey, something is happening elsewhere.
Different crimes, different tip-offs, if I can put it that way. But from the Eden Park community right now, I'm working closely with a CPF, right? So, like you said, if SEPs can't do it alone, we can't do it alone. So we need a greater community out there also. So I'm engaging with a lot of youngsters. Job security is like zero in South Africa. I don't want to use the word zero, but you understand, there's in the Kasi, if I can call it that, there's a lot of youngsters, they've got potential, but they don't get, a true pass. I made an example earlier. No one is giving them that to say, listen, be part of an organization. And they know all the criminals, and they see things that we don't see sometimes, because they're lounging around. At night, they do patrols for the CPF, but also they in comms with me. You understand, or my organization. So what normally happens is, if there is a break-in, they're like, no, I know where they are. So the success rate comes from there. So we tend to my bigger plan. I don't want to jump into another conversation, but my bigger plan is to harvest from these youngsters and train them provide them with a CIRA certificate, where it's just a grade C. You know, if they join my organization and at the later stage move to a bigger organization, like yourself, you understand, which obviously the money factor will always be there, where the salaries are greater. And for me, it's a matter of, I gave him just that true pass. So if he ends up at our operations where he earns 20K a month, for me, I'll be happy. You understand? He started off, I don't want to use the word informer, because now people will look at these like, oh, okay, you in Pimpi, you understand? So they work with us and they tend to see things that we don't see sometimes. Yes. The community is vital, and not the older generation, but the youngsters. Yeah. So we're pulling them from using drugs, you know, showing them there's a greater cause. You might end up with an organization like Thatha Zonke, not just the champion, but various other organizations also. So we get a lot of information via that.
Okay. And you'll be shocked how our work is mostly intel driven. Our WhatsApps, our Facebooks, inbox, they'll tell you it's intel driven. And who tells you? It's the community. So we're tired of that house. This and this is happening. Here's the pictures, here's the register. They'll give you everything once they have trust in you. Now we're even bombarded to say, people are saying to us, come and protect Protea. Like, but we don't have the manpower, number one. We don't have the resources to protect Protea, number two. Because now we need people stationed there. Yeah. And we are getting this coming up. So all what it says that people are saying, we understand subsidies there, but they are not coping. These guys who are coming, and they are winning. I mean, our stats speak for themselves. Go to our social media, you see. We post nearly every day something is happening. But the intel that's coming from the community will be shocked. And that's how we're operating. Yeah. And it's all about saying, we come and listen. Some will say, I don't even want to see you. And here's the information, follow it up. 2 weeks time, they'll call again to say, that house is still empty. Oh, thank you, I see the drugs are gone. Only say then life goes on. Yeah. It's mainly intel driven from that community. Because you won't, I don't into it. But I'm mostly working in I grew up there, yes, but I mostly work there. So where do I get information from? Yeah. From the community, the people stay there.
And maybe Roman as well. Look, you can do nothing as a crime fighter without the community. Because community members know the people who are committing crime. But over time, I realize that over time, when you are an institution that is established constitutionally to serve a particular purpose, and you are no longer serving it, like for instance the SAPS, the community gives up on it. Even if they know that somebody is doing something wrong, they won't even bother to call SAPS and say, they will tell you that they won't come. Now when we started, we realized that we need to partner with, these are the people who we want to protect. Therefore, we have to form partnership with them. Yeah. We started with marketing ourselves, having motorcades, and then driving around, towards Sprayed. We still need to go to forced rights. So that visibility made the people to believe in us as Thatha Zonke, to say, these are the people who are going to assist us with the problems of crimes that we have within our communities. So, like he is saying, Udonga is saying, that it is the community that will give you that intel and tell you exactly what is happening. Yes. On our Facebook page, you post something or a picture of someone and say, we're looking for this. 5 minutes, hardly 5 minutes, people are coming in and say, we know where he is. Okay. And they will lead you exactly where that person is. That's how we are able to then solve our cases in most instances. Any crime that is happening, our hotline number, they'll call you and tell you somebody is doing 1, 2, 3. Or I see a car parked and then they're trying to look for a tracking device because of the signal is dead around them. So they know that these guys have a jammer in that car. So they will call you and say that there's a hijacked car or a stolen car next to my house. Okay. So there is absolutely nothing you can do without the community. You always have to build those relations and make sure that you work with the community and you respect the community. That is very important. When the community sees you, they must see their heroes, the people that are protecting them, not people that they must fear. We always emphasize that in Thatha Zonke to say that the community should not fear Thatha Zonke. The moment we put on those jackets, they should not run away from us, but they should run towards us because they believe in what we are doing.
Okay. So just for clarity, intel means intelligence.
Yes.
Okay, no, great. So one of the things that I've been asking myself, we spoke of numbers, partnership with SAPS, resources. Because resources are the lifeblood of an organization. And in this instance, I'm talking financial resources. For you to travel from Thokoza to Foslo, from Eldos to Soweto to wherever, we need resources. How do you navigate that space? And how much of a threat does it pose to your continuity as different organizations working towards one?
I'm taking a deep breath. It's a tough one. And if you remember when I said commitment and discipline when you come into this thing, and you know who is IOPS, that is one of them. Because IOPS, we literally living from our pockets. Literally. We try to support from us who can, the organization, put in money there. To buy a bulletproof, nothing less than 5K. And that's your standard bulletproof. Some of our guys don't even have bulletproofs. Ammo is something else. The resources are very scarce. And knocking at doors, I was saying to my team, we don't need to knock at doors. They must come and knock to us at our door because we're saving them, and we must prove it to them. But resources are a serious problem. And I was saying a good example. Then, if a JMPD officer falls, they'll take him straight to Park Lane or Garden City. But if you don't have medical aid, we'll take you to Bara.
Wow.
We're gonna I'm not saying there's no service at Bara, but they're gonna take time to get assistance.
Yes.
So resources. I think that's the biggest. I don't know what to call it. It's the biggest hurdle, especially when it comes to IOPS. So it is huge, and we don't want to be boxed in Soweto. No. We want to, when that car is coming from, because that's what they do. They steal a car from the Israel, they come to Soweto, vice versa. So when they come with it, we need to meet them on the way. They can stand down and say, no, don't worry, we've got it. And that's, how much petrol costs, right? People must eat. Something basic thing that one needs. It's a proper bulletproof, and those things don't come cheap.
As they say with the load shedding that we're experiencing, that hospitals must be taken out of that grid. I hope and wish that you would be taken out of that grid to go and stand at any filling station. At least just one part of the resource. So now I fully understand the challenge. So as we're coming closer to wrapping, I just want to understand something. Progress signals success. You don't want to work in a vicious circle. And I wonder, how do you measure your success? And I'm awake to the fact that when you take somebody to the SAPS, what happens beyond that, I don't think you have much control. But from your experience, how do you then measure success? Something that gives you the motive, that will also propel your motivation to say, you don't seem like you are actually sleeping, but to wake up and say, I'm looking forward to this job. How do you measure your success? Lee?
Bit of a tough one, but experience has taught me never to be demotivated. Even though what happens, don't get demotivated. That's one for a fact. If I can make an example, of which I tend to not go into social media when it comes to stuff like it, but I've changed my mindset, educating the community, because we had a few raids, drug houses, if I can put it that way. And there was one notorious dealer that we caught, via tip off from another police station. So it was a joint operation with SEPS and various other companies also. Nevertheless, then you see the lady, the old aunties in the street saying, we'll be out tomorrow. We understand, and then normally I'll pull a group together and say, listen, this is how it works. Our job is done. Now it's SEPS, and from there, our court system, right? So if the courts say, listen, go out, here's your bail, shop, there's nothing we can do. But what I tend to teach them now is like, if he had 50,000 in cash, it's confiscated. If he had drugs to the value of 200, it's confiscated. So it's 250 loss to him, then he needs to apply for bail. So if it's costing him another 10K for bail, so it's a 260 loss. So he needs to start over again, right? So we're not gonna get tired now. The drug industry is something that it's a very, very dangerous space that we're playing in. It's not safer than the hijacking or the cash in transit. But just the fact that we are operating within the communities, and that's our biggest problem is. But if we can cripple you financially on a monthly basis, and we take, say, 250K from you. If I say we, I'm talking about the state.
Yes.
Just now people think I'm just collecting. No. Yeah, sooner or later, you'll get tired. And like I said, my retirement age, if God grants me that favor, is 90 years of age. So if we cripple you on a monthly basis, you'll get tired. And so will the next one. Because these guys, whether it is hijackers, they all need funds to operate. So if we stop them, and like I said, we're not in charge of the funds, or the drugs, or the stolen vehicles, it goes to SEPS. For what happens from there, it's not our baby. You'll be out tomorrow, sharp, but you'll come again. You understand? So that motivates me personally, and I'm sure my counterparts here, because we wouldn't sit here if we didn't have that vision. You understand? So Weto might be big now. Believe in me, Eastern is also big. But my motto or my company's slogan is securing one day at a time. And that's what we do, one day only.
Maybe can I just take a step back before I get into success and talk about the resources? I think I need to make mention of this fact that in Thatha Zonke, almost 95% of our members are unemployed, hardcore, unemployed. So you have a few business guys, and those who are employed here and there, but the larger portion of them, they're not employed. So it becomes very difficult to operate. And remember, each and every member uses their own limited resources to make sure that this thing keeps going. At some point, a lot of other guys had to fall on the wayside because they could not afford. When you are using your own vehicle and you have to chase a hijacked vehicle or a stolen vehicle, you run a danger of damaging your own car. Potholes are everywhere. Guys always, their cars get damaged all the time. The next thing, you don't have money to fix it. And you're thinking, I leave the house, I leave my wife with nothing, or probably I ask for 20 rands for me to be able to buy something on the road. And you come back, you have nothing. It's strenuous. It works against your psyche. However, we push on. And we wish that one day those who have resources or in monetary terms, they would come on board and assist us and be able to say, we appreciate what you're doing, and we are willing to put money on the table, or resources, not even in the form of money, but resources, those bulletproofs, boots, gear, so that tactical gear, so that we are then able to run our operations. It's very hard. It's very hard. Now, from my side, success. When we talk of success, I always say that if all our members are home safe, we were successful on that day. Arresting a suspect, recovering cars, and stolen goods, it's a bonus. To us, if our members are safe, are home safe, we were successful on that day. So that's how I personally view success. Because of what's the point of going out there and then get our members ambushed, and you go home, one of you has fallen. So all those recoveries you've made would have been in vain because of we've lost a human being. So it's always best to make sure that all of us, we send messages in the group, home safe, home safe. It's fulfilling to see those. And I always check in our groups to check if somebody didn't say home safe, or they were asking for backup and there was no response, and check to say, were you okay? Did you get home safe? That is, for me, that is success.
And on top of what, like you said, members safe, yes. Another main thing for me, that one firearm off the streets. It's a huge success. One firearm. one tsotsi behind bars is a success. That 1 kg of Mandrex is a success for me because somebody was going to consume it. Somebody was going to be shot by that firearm. And you'll be shocked what firearms you see. You see the latest one we found. You'll be shocked. Crash. There's people who say about crash. Man-made.
Okay, man-made.
In 2023, I was shocked myself, So, but that crash out of the streets, because a hijacking happened with that so-called gun. So one firearm out, members safe. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah.
We'll try again tomorrow.
Right, gentlemen. This is not an easy stuff. This is not a jumping castle. It's real life situation, life-threatening situations, and the fact that you wake up every day and your families have got your backup, it's really, really commendable. But maybe as we end up here, we always ask that question to say, what is that, based on your experience, whether it is with Thatha Zonke, whether with Champ Security, whether with I-Operations or any other experience in your life, what is that life 101 lesson that we have learned that you would like somebody to take away with and craft their own journey and their own story? Let's start with you, Donald.
Sure. If it's to be, it's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my life's motto. No one is going to do it for me. The universe owes me no favor. My parents don't owe me the favor. They've done their part. So if anything is to change in my life or in my environment, it's up to me. Somebody must start something. Somebody started the biggest organizations today on earth, but it needs to start with you and create a conducive environment for everyone to come with you, not to follow you. Because private following you is dangerous, but to come with you.
Yes.
So mine is if anything is to be, is up to me and no one else.
Thank you. Lee?
Yeah, mine is plain and simple. I've got a favorite song. It's at Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. So, if you don't take risks, you can only blame the man in the mirror.
Yes.
You wake up in the morning and you thank the Almighty that you've opened your eyes. And when you accomplish a few things in life, you thank him. And you look at the man in the mirror and say, it's because of you took that chance. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've learned that complaining does not help anyone. It's good to complain, but sometimes you've got to get up and start doing something. When they say government is for the people, by the people, I can attest that Thatha Zonke actually made that, it actually brought that to life, to say that we didn't wait for government to solve the problem of crimes in our area in Callous. We stood up as the people and said, we will defend our honor, we will make sure that where we live is safe. Didn't want to wait for government because we are the government. We had to get up. So I would want to say that anybody out there, you are the government. Get up and do it for yourself.
Gentlemen, I really thank you for your time, and I hope what you are doing becomes a success. I would like to thank your families, like to thank your members who are taking this duty upon themselves to make a difference in other people's lives. And to the viewer at home, you have heard for yourself, this is not an easy job that these gentlemen are doing, together with their teams and together with their families. Their families do not know if they will return from this work that they have just decided to do so that they can protect somebody that they do not know. I urge you at home to have your own JF Kennedy moment and ask for yourself, what is it that you can do for your neighbor? It might not be in the area of crime. It might be in other areas, but go out and do something for somebody else. This whole issue of crime in this country is a serious thing. And if we still have people that have the energy and the belief that they can do better to protect the other person, we all can do it. And for that we say, let us give them the support that they need. And thank you for watching this episode. Until the next episode, keep well.